Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Wednesday. Thank you guys for tuning in to another installment of Deplorable Discussions, especially those of you watching live right now, here early for the pre-show. Jump into chat, say hello, and we'll get this party officially started in about 5 minutes or so. Lino Vincent, Norm, Hang 10, Truth Teller 101, Q Boys, Biden Suck Stuff, and Cushion on all hanging out over in the mosh pit on D Live. What's up, guys? Biden Suck Stuff celebrating 35-month subscription streak. That is getting close to 3 full years of supporting the channel over on D Live. Thank you, Biden Suck Stuff. I appreciate that very, very much. We got Joe Elaine back in action. Great to have you back, Joe. Thank you for doing all that you do. Liberty's Great Awakening, Spiky 999, Awake Russell. Good to see all of you over on Rumble. Hit that thumbs up button for us if you haven't already as you make your way into the stream. Shout out to our Twitter, Cloud Hub, YouTube, and Odyssey viewers out there. And of course, kicking it in the comfy bunker, home sweet home, the only place to watch hour number 2 of our broadcasts here on 412 Productions. Let's see who's all hanging out with us today. Lance Lightspear is in there first. Great to see you, my friend. Joe Elaine, of course, modding the chat, keeping it super comfy for us. And again, thank you so much, Joe. It's so good to have you back. Floyd Due Diligence in the house. We got Packers for 12. Lyle, Jenny, great to see you all over there. And we got Patriot 714 as well. There's Curious One, Packer 412's other half. Good to see both you guys again. Always a pleasure. It's great talking to you both yesterday. HL Paco, good to see you as well. D Richard in the house. Floyd with a Wagyu steak cookie. Yes, sir. Sounds fantastic. Let's see. Truth Teller 101 over in the comfy bunker. What's up, R. Harold? Good to see you. Spiky 999 over there as well. Barb Robbins, Fazic, Roy Stones and Bones over on the West Coast. Good to see you, Roy. Range Pony checking in as well. Snow Bunny 68. Welcome, Idaho Patriot 89 out there. Good afternoon, Mr. Gerardo. Great to see you, Patriot Mom 76. Awake Russell double dipping. Love it. Let's see who else. Patriot Moms out there. We got Martin and Glenna Riggleman. What's up, guys? Jenker 2. Great to see you. Mad Joker, Tweety 52, Wood Geek, Joe Patriot. Welcome, you guys. Good to see you all. There's my brother Kyman down there in South Africa. Shout out to all of our Patriots abroad. Kyman, great to see you, my friend. Vanita 71 in the house. Nancy's Salty Beaver checking in. We got CK Whitehorse 180, DCM 17, Vader 369. What's up, man? Timar rather. Good to see you. Biatch and Clover Lily in the house as well. What's up, guys? Filtered Dog 1. How we doing today, bud? Great to see you. I see Thumper Rose out there. Kevin's Chaotic Coffee. Good to see you, Kevin. Hope you're having an awesome Wednesday. Shout out to the whole No Prisoners podcast crew. Welcome, welcome. We got Trump Red Pill 1, McKinnon 88, CDU, Calamero, DX in the house as well. Mix Picks, good to see you out there. Joella Grayson, Patriot Drummer, Misfortune. Welcome, 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 you guys. Sig, your Dragon Slayer, great to see you. Kevin with a can says it's really hard to do post edits on No Prisoners podcast when trying to listen to other streams. Yeah, I can imagine. Cheers, buddy. Thank you so much for the can. Raid on Antifa. What's up? Good to see ya. And Dognuts 10 in the house as well. What's up, Dognuts? Good to see you as well. Let's see. Who else? Anybody else? Maybe not. Maybe not. There's Spirit 554, the Gray Man, Caustic and Abrasive, 2A Freedom Rider, repping the 412. Delia, how did I miss you? Good to see you, Delia. Glad you're here. It was good talking to you yesterday as well. Welcome, welcome. What's up, Hoonslayer? Good to see you. Jumping into the bunker. Wisconsin on all the pinata holics out there coming in. Fuck the Dems is here but lurking, waiting to work. Right on. Well, looking to keep you company during your work day for sure. All right. Well, I guess let's just get this going, shall we? 315 Russ, what a legend that guy. His top 10 was fantastic yesterday. Pensider, Trick Pony, what's up, guys? Good to see you all. Welcome. All right. Well, let's get this going. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
We will make America strong again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Y'all for tuning in, Patriots United, doing what we gotta do to win. Be addicted, the MS7, now we're moving in. And once we take over, we won't ever move again. Where we go on, we go all, I say it with pride. No, we won't run, we won't fall, we're right by your side. The demons have taken hold, but none of us will abide. Stand strong and stand bold, that's how we'll survive. 412 is the production, Monday through Friday, deplorable discussions. We're making it hard for the deep state to function. Every time they switch up the narrative, we debunk it. Adult Nero is the power that's controlling the flight. With all you patriots behind them, cause we're all in this fight. So many rhyme for so long, but we're giving them sight. Trapped in the world of darkness, but we're bringing them light. You may either find yourself in a different life. A lot of us have, and honestly, that's perfectly fine. Because exactly where you are at this moment in life is where you're supposed to be at this moment in time. It's all by design, the patriots are holding the line. They must have lost theirs, thinking they're controlling our minds. So many trapped in mental prisons don't know they're confined. They're just slaves in the system till the roles are assigned. That's sad, the good news is that we're waking them up. They have monopolies on minds, but we're breaking them up. Everything you thought was news, they were making it up. When we ascend, all the tyrants won't be making the cut. Let them all burn in the hellscape they create. We the people already mapped out our escape. We hold each other by the hand as we all elevate and go to a different place. They can never get chased. When I look into the future, I can see that it's bright. When this history is written, they will see that we're right. We formed our own community and the circle is tight. But I expand the circle with every word that I write. The pen is sharper than the sword when you wield it with might. Why do you think they try to kick us off all the sites? These people hate America, punish us out of spite. We are the beacons of hope in the darkness of night. So let's go, strap in, yeah, get ready for the ride. Watch the water, we're witnessing the turning of the tide. Feel the passion and the fire that you got burning inside. Take the narrative that's feeding you and turn it to the side. We're alerted to the lies, replacing with the truth. We know the plan they devised, they're invading the youth. Now we're only incentivized to start raising our boots. These demons all weaponized. Now we're raising our troops. Now we're raising the roof and sounding the alarm. Remember that it's always darkest before the dawn. Life it's a game of chess. They want to use you as a pawn. You're only useful until you're not useful. Then you're gone. But not us. We're on the right team where we belong. Everybody is invited, so come follow along. We refuse to say things are right, knowing they're wrong. Adult Nero, take the mic and take flight, cause it's on.
And now, straight from the Steel City, it's your host, 412 Adult Nero.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you guys for being here for another installment of Deplorable Discussions. My name is Adult Nero. It is March 13th, 2024. I've got Drunk Pinata, one of my OGs, riding shotgun with me for the next couple of hours. I think TN will be joining us at some point, I think. But for now, Pinata, it's just you and I. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Another day wading through the BS of the narrative matrix.
How are they handling things? They've got some rough news over the last 24 hours in Georgia I want to talk about. So just curious.
For that one, with the dismissal of some of these, they won't, if they go back and try to do a superseding indictment, that'll delay their case, and they can't, and they don't want to delay it anymore. So I don't think they will. It remains to be seen whether or not some of the legal analysis that I saw was that people on the right, the friendly news media are saying that this could point to Wade being removed because, or the charge being removed because of Wade's inexperience as a prosecutor. So the reason why these would be dropped because they weren't sufficiently, um, you know, elaborated for the defendants. That's
Hmm.
why they're being dropped. It's a Sixth Amendment issue, apparently. So that points to Wade. Now, what about Willis? I don't know. I think that if you go to their testimony, their relationship alone, I don't think is the disqualifying factor. However, this for me that this what supersedes that if he says, "Oh well, the disclosure of this relationship, I don't think affected the actual case itself." Well, but their conduct and their candor could potentially disqualify them. So it seems as though he's saying, "I'm not going to drop the entire case, but I'm going to disqualify Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade." I think that's kind of where we're at. From what I've seen from the way this judge handles himself,
Hmm.
what they're trying to do by throwing a challenger in a race for judgeship, and apparently Fannie Willis is also being challenged for reelection in this reelection.
Hmm.
Um, I think you might see that, but remains to be seen. I mean, the swamp is still the swamp. There's still people that may appear to be, but maybe that may appear to be above board, but what could potentially be pressured. So
Right.
we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you have any media you want to share with us today, or
With that in particular, no. I will bring up. There's a couple different things. Maybe you're going to get into it with Cassidy Hutchinson. Essentially, her entire story was fabricated with the help of some of the stooges, the different former aides, Alyssa Griffin, Sarah Matthews, these other people, right? They all kind of basically colluded with Cassidy Hutchinson to create a situation in which she would be reinvited back to the January 6th unselect committees to be interviewed in order to create a new story. And this is where, so she says that she got a new lawyer because the lawyer was asking her to lie. No, what they were trying to do is get a new lawyer so that they could interview her with someone else that was unfavorable to them because they were concocting this bullshit clavicle gate story.
right?
So they didn't want to tip off Team Trump because that was with she was using one of their lawyers, Team Trump's Orbit's lawyers. So they created a condition so that she would be interviewed without that lawyer. And apparently this was held so closely to the vest about the sensational story that Liz Cheney didn't even inform some of the Democrat members of the committee until what this was going to be about until the day of the testimony, the public testimony. And then they deliberately withheld the Ornato's testimony that they had behind that was sworn oath. Remember, their whole thing was that if Mr. Ornato would like to come testify
Yeah.
under oath and dispute these claims, but they already had it, and then that's one of the
That's
testimonies that
crazy.
they had basically hidden and didn't put public. So to me, it's you see this architect. This was all architected by Liz Cheney and others, the same group. You're talking about your Raskins, your Schiff, all these people that are
Yeah.
involved in this. And I think that it goes back even far as enough to when Liz Cheney was doing her book tour, she went on Rachel Maddow and said that she was disturbed that the Republicans, this was like a conference call, like all Republicans were on this call. And
Hmm.
so she was on this conference call and understood that there was going to be, and this is her relaying this to Rachel Maddow. She said when I understood what was going on and that they had a senator and they had the representatives enough to object to the certification of the votes, that's when I hung up on my end of the call, and then I went to try to find some other people to figure out what we were going to do. And she said this on TV when she's trying to sell her book. So what do you think she did? They said, "Well, we need to figure out a way to disrupt this official proceeding." And this explains why they didn't want the National Guard troops. This explains why they were trying to suppress that Trump wanted the National Guard troops, because that plays out their narrative. It's like, why would somebody who wanted National Guard troops like this want them to storm the Capitol? And there's a bunch of reasons why there's no reason to storm the Capitol. Another one being they set up this whole months-long scheme, according to them, with quote fake electors, for them to just not use them during the objections to the certification. No, they did not want that to happen at any cost, which it also explains Plan B, which was the pipe bomb stuff. So any one of those things with it, but they got it with Plan A, which was lax security, stirring up the crowd and opening up the doors. Then they got their delay of the certification, and then they got their guilt trips into anybody who was going to object. And then they really didn't have, is in the middle of the night. They didn't have the bandwidth to keep debating for all the different states. And then you had people drop some support because of the optics. And then we have the result that we had, and that's what they wanted in the end.
Yeah.
So that was the Cassidy Hutchinson thing. The other thing was so we had the boxes thing. So they have this guy, Brian Butler, who to me seems to have been duped by the FBI into thinking that he knows more than he does. He seems to have gone back and filled in memory gaps based upon public reporting about this. I mean, the type of stuff that he's parroting is the same stuff I see from MSNBC and CNN.
The Ryan Stelter lookalike guy.
Yes, that's the Brian Stelter lookalike guy. So the new thing is that from this, I was like, okay, what are they going to use this guy for? Because we already knew this from a superseding indictment of one of the guys they said was trying to delete security footage. So they already had the De Oliveira guy for that superseding indictment. Trump employee number 5 was already in there. Everything that he said on that interview, we already knew. The only thing we didn't know after watching that interview is he knows nothing. He doesn't know what he knows, because it's clear that it was filled in. It's clear that he was interviewed like 4 or 5 times by the special counsel. And for a guy who doesn't know anything, seems like an awful lot. He's clearly was given basically we're not going to charge you, you cooperate. And that he was just like, oh shit, I don't want this. Clearly it's either playing along, but to me, I think the guy's just like I said, I think the guy who knows too little, the man who knows too little is not a movie or something. He's playing along, and but he really doesn't know what he thinks he knows. And so what they're doing now is that on the day of June 3rd, 2022, when Evan Corcoran is handing over the documents to the FBI, that shows up and they talk about a written, or I'm sorry, a verbal understanding that they were going to keep doing a rolling production, as that they had met the subpoena as much as they could find within that date. They were still going through the boxes. They said, this is when they said, okay, well, put another lock on the door, and then we want to see some surveillance footage. All that happened. And on that day, Trump was also flying to Bedminster. So apparently this guy, because there were bankers boxes that Trump was moving on that day, and here's the thing, is if I recall, T, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he had been using these bankers boxes even before he was president to move stuff around. Because I mean, he ran a business, so he would have papers, he would have things like that. And this guy working for 20 years with Trump would know that. Because if this isn't the first time he's moved these boxes, and then what they say to him is that, oh, those must have been the classified materials. So the new thing is that Trump absconded with classified materials on the date that he was supposed to turn them over. Thus, oh my gosh, we don't know where they could be. And this opens up the narrative for what they had previously talked about, which was the formal plan to attack Iran, which is the audio recording, right, of him talking to the ghostwriters for Mark Meadows' book, where he says, I could have declassified this. So to me, this might be setting up an option for Smith to get this thing away from Cannon, or at least a shot across the bow for Cannon to not dismiss this case, saying we're just going to go charge over New Jersey and you can't do anything about
it. The question is, how do they know that those documents even exist?
They don't. I
know that. I'm just saying, how would they know?
Well, another problem is that they already they charged him for that Iran document already, meaning that they already had it in their possession, meaning it's not in Bedminster, so they can't do that because they never searched Bedminster, or they never did a raid or whatever. So they already have that document, and that was part of what they did was a little bit of a bait and switch with it, or they kind of put out partial transcript of a recording, they didn't even say they had a recording in the initial indictment. They were just teasing it, because then they were saying, well, everything is declassified. On Team Trump side and the positive media side for Trump was saying he declassified everything, he declassified everything. Meanwhile, they were withholding that, oh, I could have declassified a thing, for them to flip the narrative when they wanted to. But again, the whole superseding thing is that he was allowed to have them to begin with. Whether or not he formally declassified them is a different story. He's allowed to take those and have them. Now, when they're his personal property, he still has the, I suppose he still has the, well, I don't know what you call it, the responsibility to say, I could declassify this. But there, he's even demonstrating, hey, we can't actually use this in the book. We can't actually use this because it has not been formally declassified for this purpose.
At least at that time.
Yeah.
I think they're scrambling because the things are falling apart on the other edges, so they're coming up with alternate strategies.
Yeah, I mean, this is twofold. It pushes and prods Cannon to kind of keep the case going and not dismiss it. At the same time, it's also gives them like, oh, look at Biden, because think about Robert Hur, he just testified, and the way that they're using that. So we've seen this every single time. Anytime one of these people is about to testify against Biden, some new sensational story comes out just conveniently about that same exact topic around Trump.
Well, they have no choice. They have to keep obfuscating the sheeple that are out there, and good luck finding a grand jury even in New Jersey if they tried, because all this other stuff has now come out.
Yeah.
So they're spinning their wheels, and I believe, and all of this is playing into the election cycle bucket. Because every day it gets closer to October, from an October surprise perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
it's becoming obvious. I mean, Trump truthed this, but it doesn't matter if it was Trump truth or not. It was in her testimony. He's asked, did Biden have classified documents here, and they enumerated the places, and he says yes, correct, right? But one interesting observation is not one member of Congress asked him if he was entitled to have any of it.
Yeah, I want to talk about that some more too here. Definitely want to talk about that some more because I brought it up yesterday. I talked about it yesterday on the show before we start taking calls, but I want to bring that up again here when we get to the hearing, because there was a very obvious line of questioning that they came very close to, but never actually nailed her down on, at least that I saw. That was very frustrating to me. So I definitely want to get into that. But yeah, T, I'm glad you're here, man. Welcome. And
thanks.
Yeah,
the other interesting thing, well, you're going to get to the whole testimony, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't we take care of sponsors, and we can even start there if you guys want. Because I was debating between starting a few different places, but let's take care of. We only have one sponsor today, and I'll do it quickly. And again, shout out to Jolene and her husband George, who I believe is home today or will be home from his triple bypass surgery. It went really well, and again, thank you all for your prayers and support for Jolene. Yeah, we're just very, very happy and grateful that her husband is recovering and making a full recovery from that major operation. So good news there. And Jolene is our sponsor today with Earth Garden Botanicals. You guys know all about earthgardenbotanicals.com. Lots of great products here. The pine needle extract, all the CBD and hemp products, the tinctures, the nighttime gummies for a good night's sleep, the Arnica South for your sore joints and muscles. Check out the elderberry tonic to boost your immune system, the fire cider to clear your sinuses. There's great teas if you're a tea drinker. Check out some of the different loose leaf teas Jolene has to offer. And of course, the critter juice, the all natural insect repellent, keeping the skeeters and insects off you as the weather heats up and they become more of an issue. All these amazing products are available for 10% off when you use promo code 412 at earthgardenbotanicals.com. earthgardenbotanicals.com. Load your cart. You will not be disappointed. These products are absolutely top notch and fantastic and offered at a great value. So promo code 412 again for 10% off your order. So that's our one and only sponsor today. So let's talk about the hearing. I've got two clips I want to play. It'll take about 8 minutes total between the two of them, and then we'll spend some time discussing. First is Matt Gaetz. He always does a great job, and I thought he kind of held true to form here with his line of questioning. So we'll start there, and then we'll do one other one. And I have something I'd like to pose, and I'm curious. Pinata, you and I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I'm curious what TN has to say as well. But here first is Matt Gaetz at yesterday's hearing.
February 8th, the White House question, Mr. President, why did you share classified information with your ghostwriter? The President, I did not share classified information. I did not share it. I guarantee I did not. That's not true, is it, Mr. Hur?
That is inconsistent with the findings based on the evidence in my report.
Yeah, so it's a lie, is just what regular people would say, right? Yeah, all right. So the next one. And all the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. That wasn't true either, was it?
That was inconsistent with the findings of our investigation.
Another lie, people might say, right? Because what you put in your report was among the places Mr. Biden's lawyers found classified documents in the garage was a damaged open box. So here's what I'm understanding, right? As Mr. Armstrong laid out, you find in your report that the elements of a federal criminal violation are met, but then you apply this senile cooperator theory that because Joe Biden cooperated and the elevator doesn't go to the top floor, you don't think you...
I just say how much I love this. The senile cooperator theory. I don't know if Matt Gaetz came up with that himself or he has a clever staffer or he stole that from somebody else. I don't know if anyone else has heard that anywhere else before, but I think that is freaking hilarious.
I'm kind of fond of the
senile cooperator theory. Sorry, Tien, go ahead.
No, I'm kind of fond of the elevator doesn't go to the top floor.
Well, that's hilarious too. But good for Matt Gaetz.
That one I've heard before. That's like you're not firing on all 8 and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're right about the theory aspect.
That's so funny. All right, let's keep it going.
You get a conviction. And I actually think you get to the right answer in that. I don't think Biden should have been charged. Don't think Trump should have been charged. But under like the senile cooperator theory, isn't it frustrating that Biden continues to go out and lie about the basic facts of the report that lay out a federal criminal violation?
Congressman, I need to disagree with at least one thing that you said, which is that I found that all of the elements were met. One of the elements of the relevant mishandling statute is the intent element, and what my report reflects is my judgment that based on the evidence, I would not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury that that intent element had been.
Now, really store that part away in your brain because that to me is very interesting. So the intent element, the willful intent to retain classified materials. So just compartmentalize that, keep it fresh, keep it near the surface of your brain, because that's going to be at the key of my main axe to grind with all of this here.
Right, but the reason you have that doubt is the senile cooperator theory. The fact that Joe Biden is so inept in responding that you can't prove the intent, which again, I don't quibble with that conclusion, but it's frustrating to be like, oh, well, this guy's not getting treated the same way as Trump because the elevator's not going to the top floor, so we can't prove intent. While at the same time, Biden goes out there at the White House and says, well, you know, he just blatantly lies. And what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not Biden's lying because he's still so senile, he hasn't read your report, or whether it's a little craftier and a little more devious and perhaps a little more intentional than we might otherwise think. So I also want to go to this Biden Penn Center. Like, did it give concern to you that the Biden Penn Center, where all this classified stuff was being mishandled, was being floated by foreign governments?
Congressman, we were concerned with getting to the bottom of all of the classified documents that were recovered during the course of our...
Yeah, but what bothers me is that the money that was paying for the place where the documents were being inappropriately held, it was the Chinese and it was other foreign countries. Did that play into your analysis? Did you look into the $1 billion in foreign funding sources at the Biden Center at UPenn, for example?
Congressman, we conducted a thorough, impartial, and fair investigation, and we were very, very concerned with getting to the bottom of all the relevant questions relating to the recovered documents.
Did you look into the fact that the Chinese were floating the place where this guy was keeping the documents unsecure? Yes or no?
Congressman, to the extent that we identified evidence that was relevant and significant to our investigation, we put it in our report.
Okay, well, it seemed relevant to me, maybe not to you. Another thing that seemed relevant to me is this ghostwriter, right? So the ghostwriter purposefully deletes this evidence that seems to be like show culpability of Biden's crimes, and you don't charge him. Why did you not charge the ghostwriter with obstructing justice and deleting evidence?
Well, for a number of reasons that are laid out in the report. But in brief, Congressman, yes, when we interviewed the ghostwriter, he did tell us, and I'm trying to get the exact language, that one of the things on his mind, one of the things he was aware of, was that I had been appointed special counsel and was conducting an investigation.
Right. So he didn't. Just so everybody knows, the ghostwriter didn't delete the recordings just as a matter of happenstance. Ghostwriter has recordings of Biden making admissions of crimes. He then learns that you've been appointed. He then deletes the information that is the evidence, and you don't charge him.
That is reflected in the report, and one of the reasons.
Like, what does somebody have to do to get charged with obstruction of justice by you? If like deleting the evidence of crimes doesn't count, what would meet the standard?
So, Congressman, as we state in the relevant chapter of the report, one of the things that Mr. Zwanitzer did not delete was transcripts of the recordings that he had created that included inculpatory evidence relating to Mr. Biden.
Oh, so if you destroy some evidence but not other evidence, that somehow absolves you of the evidence you destroy? Here's what I see. Zwanniger should have been charged, wasn't. Biden and Trump should have been treated equally. They weren't. And that is the double standard that I think a lot of Americans are concerned about. I see my time's expired. I yield back.
So the ghostwriter is, I think, the key piece of this that really makes it unfathomable with the willful intent. Pinata, I see you're off mute. If you want to jump in before I play this next clip, go ahead.
I think it's very clear now that during the course of Hur's investigation, and they found out that guy tried to delete something, that this is where the whole the superseding indictment of Trump tried to delete surveillance footage came from.
Okay.
Because the timing matches.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. All right, I'm going to play this clip here. I'm going to pose my thoughts, and then I'll open it up.
Classified documents were found at the Penn Biden Center?
That's correct.
They were found in President Biden's garage?
In Wilmington, Delaware, yes.
And in his basement den?
Also in the same home, yes.
In his main floor office?
Correct.
And his third floor den?
Correct.
At the University of Delaware?
Correct.
And at the Biden Institute?
Correct.
All right. And the elements of the crime for this, I mean, we get into all of this, but the elements of the crime are pretty simple, right? President Biden had unauthorized possession of a document, writing, or note. That's
correct.
And that the document, writing, or note related to national defense.
Correct.
And that the defendant, and we may talk about the willfully part here in a second, retained the document, writing, or note and failed to deliver it to an employee or officer entitled to receive it.
Correct. There is a willfulness intent element, as you say.
But those are the elements of the crime.
Including the intent element, yes.
And there are at least two different quotes, right, where he told this ghostwriter, and this is in your report, in a matter of fact, and this is February 16, 2017, that he...
2017, talking to the ghostwriter. Now, remember that year, 2017.
He had just found all this classified stuff downstairs.
He did make that statement that was captured on an audio recording.
And on April 10th, 2017, Biden read aloud a classified passage related to a 2015 meeting in the Situation Room.
That is in the report, yes.
And these are national security documents. Afghanistan, I mean, has been mentioned, a whole bunch of those things, right?
Correct.
And at one point in time, his personal attorneys and the DOJ attorneys argued about notes, taking all of the different things and compared it to Reagan.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Congressman?
President Biden's attorneys, personal attorneys, talked about the notes and why they didn't actually account for the Presidential Records Act. But you found that argument in your report. It seems a little persuasive, but you eventually said no, the executive order trumps, right?
We did set forth an analysis of the governing law and ultimately concluded that the executive order 13526 does apply and did govern former Vice President Biden at the time.
So you have audio recording from his ghostwriter where the president acknowledges that the information he has is classified and he's sharing with his ghostwriter.
We have an audio recording capturing a statement from Mr. Biden saying to his ghostwriter in February of 2017, quote, "I just found all the classified stuff downstairs," end quote.
And then again, reciting passages from a meeting in the Situation Room.
Yes,
And those are in President Biden's own words,
correct.
right? So and the ghostwriter has no classified, he has no clearance, no classified clearance to anything, correct?
That is our understanding, that Mr. Zwanitzer was not authorized to receive classified information.
Okay, so the elements are possessed documents, the documents related to national defense, and willfully retained those documents, and in this case, shared them with somebody who was not allowed to receive them.
There are different subsections of 18 U.S.C. 793. One subsection relates to the willful retention, and another relates to disclosure of national defense information.
Well, I mean, the willful retention, we've got the Penn Biden Center, the garage, the basement den, the main floor office, the third floor den, the University of Delaware, and the Biden Institute. We have a 50-year career of a person who has not been very great at dealing with classified documents throughout, even prior to his time as vice president, when he was in the U.S. Senate, right?
We do address each set of those documents in the report, Congressman.
So the difference, but I think this is really important, because the difference is, it appears just from reading the report, he has been, and we heard all about exonerated and all of those different.
All right, so I'll leave it there.
You know,
My question is, one second, Tien. My question is, if he told a ghostwriter in 2017 that he found classified documents in his basement, did not immediately return them, how much more of willful intent do you need?
That was my point.
2017, they didn't start sending these documents back until about, what, like a year and a half ago.
They didn't even mention that they have them until 2024, rather.
Yeah, so...
Or 2023, if you want to give the argument to the August because of the raid and all that, 2023.
Yeah, so my question is, how can Robert Hur look at these panelists up on that up on the podium there with a straight face and say that he couldn't prove willful intent when you have Joe Biden admitting that he has them in 2017 to a ghostwriter, and then did not make any effort to give them back?
Yeah,
I don't understand what else you need as a prosecutor to at least take this to trial. Like, to say that the willful intent is the hang up here because he's old and doddering. So you're telling me Robert Hur's theory of the case is that Joe Biden in 2017 told a ghostwriter that he found classified documents in his basement, and then, took his warm glass of milk or whatever he did, went to bed, and completely forgot about it for 4 more years or 5 more years, 6, however long it was, and just never crossed his mind again.
well, you got to separate two things. The discovery that you have them, you are correct. The intent is to taking them. The willful intent aspect is to
willful retention. Taking them.
That's a different subject.
That's what they were talking about. Willful.
Right, I know, but the question in the charging, I mean, I'm agreeing that the aspect of how could you not charge them on that? But we have to separate between the willful intent on taking versus the willful intent on retaining. I'm just saying you have to separate.
I would say that the statement to the ghostwriter proves both. You found them, you had them, so you knew you took them at that point. You made no effort to get them back, so you also willfully retained them. Like, you knew you had them at that time, and you knew and you didn't make any effort to give them back.
Well, the key word there is I just found, so there could be an argument that he didn't know he had them. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying I'm making the argument to separate the willful intent in taking the documents versus once he found them and had knowledge of them, documented knowledge of them, then it's an aspect of the willful retention. Because by the fact that her saying in the audio, he says, I just found, that implies he didn't know they were there. Implies. I'm not saying he didn't know. I'm saying it implies. So he should have been charged on the retention aspects of it. You knew they were there. You should have immediately turned them over, or immediately called whomever, NARA or whatever, and basically said, look, I found these. I didn't know I had them, blah, 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 blah. The fact that he turned them over, or he made that statement to the ghostwriter, to the writer, and then retained them for another 4 years, and then come across saying, oh, well, no, we just found these during just a regular investigation, and we blah, blah, blah. That's the bullshit part.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, it's not excusing her. I'm slicing the aspects of even how her conveyed the statutes, right? And the aspect of willful intent. So yeah, he's kind of hiding the more critical one, the knowledgeable willful taking, behind he's an old man, he didn't know he had them, and can't prove that he took them intentionally.
Yeah, and Delia did call in and make a similar point yesterday. I see you out there, Delia, and I do remember that. I guess when I hear willful intent, I take that as, if you know you have something you're not supposed to have at that point and you don't give it back, it shows your willful intent through the whole thing. Like, even if you didn't know that you took them, you found them, you knew that you're not supposed to have them, and you made no effort to give them back.
Well, that's the point about, that's the same in a way. That's the point that her was saying, in my opinion, about being able to prove it, because I'll give you an analogy. Let's say that you find a sack of money in your basement, right? And you didn't know you took it, or at least allegedly you didn't know you took it, but you never turned it in. So the question is, should you have turned it in? Yeah, absolutely. Are you guilty of not turning it in? Absolutely. But are you guilty of stealing the money? Can't prove that.
I get what you're saying.
That's I'm paraphrasing, or at least turning around how her was answering the questions there relating to being able to charge him. He's hiding, in my opinion, behind the aspect of not being able to prove the willful intent to take them, behind the willful intent of not reporting. That's what he's hiding.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But I think we know that we believe that he should have been charged, rightfully so, because the bottom line is this: whether he took them intentionally or not, he was not entitled to have them at all. So in 2017, the minute he found them, the next day should have been a phone call saying, I have these, I'm not supposed to have them, they must have been taken accidentally, and call it a day.
Yeah.
But the fact that he didn't have them at all, that he shouldn't have them at all. It doesn't matter whether they were Afghanistan or Iran or whatever. It doesn't really matter. He shouldn't have had them at all.
Rubark asks you specifically, TN, can Biden still be prosecuted after he loses in 24 by a prosecutor outside of D.C.?
Yes. In my opinion, yes, because the crimes occurred when he was senator and he was with the vice president, and he has no immunity. He cannot be, based on the way they're going now, well, this will depend on what the Supreme Court says regarding immunity. He cannot be charged, as we believe now, because of immunity as he was president, but these occurred before he was president.
Right. The only thing that would save him is if the government charged him now in D.C. and he was found not guilty by a jury, then he'd have double jeopardy.
Right. Then he would be acquitted, and yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
or they take him out and he's not charged at all.
Well, Yeah, there's that too.
But you can still impeach a dead man. So I think we should move forward with that. But yeah, I mean, yes, because the crimes occurred outside of his presidency and when he was not president.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that there's no statute of limitations, because this would be. I mean, I could even push. Obviously, I'm biased, but can we even push espionage? Because
I mean,
it was funded by the Chinese.
With the Biden Penn Center aspect of it, absolutely. Like,
Exactly.
I don't know about in his house or next to the
Well, no, but if he had
or whatnot, but when you're holding them in a think tank funded by a foreign adversary, not like some, ally, quote unquote, country, but the freaking Chinese Communist Party funding a think tank, and you're leaving classified national security documents there for them to access, that to me is 100%, in the lines of the espionage realm of things. So
and then if they're saying that they were peddling his name because of access, and they were also saying he didn't demonstrate giving them anything, yet now we find that he had classified documents about all kinds of different things all over the place.
mm-hmm.
One of them being run by his now Secretary of State, Blinken. The Penn Biden Center was run by Blinken,
mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, I'd say that with his son, that espionage is definitely a key, because they definitely sold goods. Why would you have them keep them quiet, be dealing with the Chinese funding your think tank, your son dealing with the Chinese, the Ukrainians, and everybody else, and selling your name as access? Access to what? I think that with the proper Justice Department, you have him dead to rights, all pun intended.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Oh man, a two-tier justice system.
No, we don't. It's not a two-tier. I mean, I'm sorry, not correcting you. It's no longer a two-tier. There is no justice system. There is no justice system, because it's the will of whomever is in power. If that's the case, there is no justice system, because you can basically say that there's an aspect to how you apply the law, but when you don't apply it at all, there is no justice system.
That's fair. Well, it's when you pick and choose who to apply it to and who not to. The selective prosecution, I guess, is what I'm referring to. You could, I guess, put a label on whatever you want. But you see one side of the political aisle is treated one way, the other side is treated completely differently, and it's been that way.
And at this point, you might want to, you just could say it's whatever the whim of the leader is. And at that point, you're into a dictatorship, because the law doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We'll stay on the Bidens for a minute here. This came down the pike today. Hunter Biden refuses to testify at public hearings. So President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, has refused an invitation from Republican lawmakers to appear at a public hearing before Congress, according to his attorney.
Didn't he want that? Isn't that what he fought for? That he didn't want to have a closed door, he wanted to have a public, and now he doesn't want to have a public?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He cited a scheduled conflict and announced the hearing as a carnival sideshow. Abe Lau, Mr. Biden's attorney, said in a letter to House Oversight and Accountability Committee James Comer that his request for Mr. Biden to appear on March 20th public hearing alongside other witnesses can't be met because of a court hearing the next day in California. Mr. Lau said the scheduling conflict is the least of the issues, while denouncing the hearing as not a proper proceeding, but an obvious attempt to throw a Hail Mary pass after the game has ended, pointing to arrest of former FBI informant Alexander Smirnov, who was accused of lying to agents and falsifying records about the alleged business dealings of President Biden and his son. Quote, I must confess my surprise by your hasty request, Mr. Lau wrote, after that 6+ hour deposition on February 28th, 2024, along with the realization that your inquiry was based on a patchwork of conspiracies spun by convicted liars and a charged Russian spy, I thought even you would recognize your baseless impeachment proceeding was dead. Mr. Lau argued that multiple witnesses have undermined the central premise of the hearing, namely that the President Biden benefited from his son's business dealings. Quote, President Biden has done nothing wrong, and certainly nothing even in your misapplication of the impeachment provisions of the Constitution to warrant further proceedings, he argued. Mr. Biden testified on February 28th before the House Oversight and Judiciary Committee, admitting to making mistakes and wasting opportunities, but denying involvement of President Biden in his business dealings. Mr. Comer issued a statement in response to Mr. Lau's letter, arguing that Mr. Lau's client had called for a public hearing for a month and was now inexplicably backing out. Quote, the House Oversight Committee has called Mr. Hunter Biden's bluff. Mr. Comer wrote, Hunter Biden for months stated he wanted a public hearing, but now that one has been offered alongside his business associates that he worked with for years, he is refusing to come. Mr. Comer also challenged Mr. Lau's characterization of the prior hearings and evidence surfaced thus far, arguing that the evidence that has emerged shows that President Biden misled the public when he denied involvement in his son's business dealings. Quote, during our deposition and interview phase of our investigation, Hunter Biden confirmed key evidence, including evidence that his father, President Joe Biden, lied to the American people about his family's business dealings, and in fact, attended meetings, spoke on speakerphone, and had coffee with his foreign business associates who collectively funneled millions to the Bidens, Mr. Comer wrote. However, parts of Hunter Biden's testimony contradict the testimonies of Devin Archer, Jason Galanis, and Tony Bobulinski. The Republican lawmaker said that despite Mr. Lau's letter, he still expects Mr. Biden to show up at the hearing. Quote, next week's hearing with Hunter Biden and his associates is moving forward, and we fully expect Hunter to participate. The American people demand the truth and accountability for the Biden's corruption, he wrote. So I'll leave that there. We'll see what happens if he shows up or not. He's probably not going to, then they'll subpoena him for a public hearing. And then who knows? He will, he won't, he'll be held in contempt, he won't. Nothing. I don't really imagine anything's gonna actually happen to Hunter Biden, at least not with, as we said, this Justice Department. I don't see Merrick Garland charging Hunter Biden or accepting any referral for criminal action by the House if he doesn't show up. So Hunter's gonna pretty much spit in the face of Congress and get away with it is my guess, but who knows? A public hearing would be very entertaining to watch. That's one I would definitely tune in for. So anyway, there you go.
Did you notice, and I don't know if it's the reporting or not, but did you notice that he says that the charge is that Joe Biden, benefited from his son's business deal. Then the attorney says that Joe Biden did nothing wrong and that he wasn't involved in his son's business. But the charge is he benefited from his son's business.
Right.
I found that to be the duplicitous aspect of and it could be the reporting. I don't know. But it's interesting that he turns around and comes up with a different answer to a question that wasn't asked. Right? The issue is you benefited from your son's dealings. You denied that you benefit from your son's dealings, but we have checks going into your checking account from your son's dealings.
Yeah, he's denied benefiting and involvement.
Right. Exactly. He's
denied. Yeah.
Right. But the attorney picks on involvement. Why? Because they have the checks. Because they have the bank records.
Right. And testimony of him being on the phone.
Exactly.
Look at this photograph of them all
talking about the weather.
Yeah. I mean,
that's really critical that you have the vice president of the United States being brought into a phone call with a bunch of business partners of his sons to talk about the weather. Yeah, that's almost as good as let's see, finding out that the attorney general that's charging your wife is in Phoenix, Arizona, and you decide to fly in there and hold on to the flights so that you can meet on her plane to talk about your grandchildren and playing golf.
Yeah, yoga and golf or something like that. Is that what it was? It was
No, grandchildren and golf.
Okay.
Yoga was Hillary Clinton's emails about her, that
were on the private server. I can't keep all their bullshit straight anymore.
I mean, the thing is, like, I know you want to, that one scene. I have the meme. That's the only reason I know it, is because it also was played. Is in the movie Moonstruck when Cher slaps Dennis. What is the K? Whatever the actor's name is, Cage is the last, and she says, "Snap out of it," and slaps. That's what you want to say to these people that are believing this shit and saying, "Snap out of it." How could you believe that Bill Clinton flies into Phoenix, Arizona, in the middle of their frickin' summer to meet, and happens to just coincidentally find out that the attorney general that's investigating his wife, it's there. Okay. And then the vice president of the United States calls into a meeting of his son's business partners to talk about the weather. You really have to be a mental midget for that. There was a great meme that today, I think it was, I don't know if it was, let me see here, if it was Trump or if it was Nunes that put that out there. Oh yeah, it was Nunes, David Nunes. It was from Keith Corsigan. It says, please note, a national IQ test will be held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024.
That's pretty good.
Because that's right. That's exactly what's going to happen.
That's pretty fantastic. All right, I'll do one more quick one here, and then we'll go to our break, exclusively to Pilled.net, and we'll talk about what's going on in Georgia, because that is the big story today. But I want to throw this out there too, because we spent a good time talking about the bit of time talking about the State of the Union address. Poll finds Biden got no boosted numbers from angry partisan State of the Union address. So Yahoo News / YouGov poll, no State of the Union bump for Biden. So pundits have fawned over President Biden's State of the Union address last Thursday, praising it as a home run performance from a fiery, powerful, vigorous guy that would ease nagging fears about his age and vitality. But voters barely seem to have noticed. A Yahoo News / YouGov survey of 1,482 U.S. adults conducted in the days immediately following Biden's big speech shows zero improvement in perception of the president or his standing against former President Donald Trump. Before the State of the Union, Trump 45% and Biden 44%, respectively, were statistically tied in a head-to-head 2024 matchup, according to the previous Yahoo News YouGov poll from late January. They remain tied today, with Trump at 46% and Biden at 44%. So if anything, it went the other way, a gap that's well within the poll's margin of error, 2.8%. Before the speech, 40% of Americans approved of the job Biden was doing as president, 56% disapproved. Today, those numbers are 39% and 55%, respectively. Democrats clearly started celebrating a little bit too soon. So I'm glad to see that it didn't land. I'm glad to see that it didn't land the way that they thought it was going to, despite all the gaslighting in the media to convince you that it was a fiery, vigorous Joe Biden, a mentally capable Joe Biden. So, I mean, that's one poll, 1,500 people, small sample size, but nonetheless, I like what it shows. So I found that to be encouraging. I found that to be very encouraging. So do with that what you will. Let's go ahead and we are going to transition into our Pilled.net exclusive portion of today's show. I'll grab our Pilled.net link and throw it in the Rumble chat and in the DLive chat for you guys. Make it super easy to find your way over. If you're on Rumble, you can just simply open up the video description as well below the live stream. You'll see the links to get in there as well. Or simply type in Pilled.net into your browser. If you're on mobile, just look at the top of the screen. You'll see all the thumbnails of the live channels. You just got to click on that black and gold one. That's us. If you're on desktop, look to the left side of your screen. You'll see all the live channels over there on the left. We are that black and gold logo, 412 Productions. You could just type 412 Productions into the search bar as well. There's a million ways to get to us, guys. So please come over, hang out with us in the comfy bunker on pilled.net for the second half of the show. I'll play a little video. And then we'll come back on the other side, say goodbye to the other platforms, read your gold pill chats. So if you want to get some gold pill donations in here, now's a great time because we will take some time going through those when we come back. And then we will continue on. I want to talk about the charges dismissed in Georgia, along with this House bill banning TikTok. There's a lot of controversy over whether or not this is a good thing, a bad thing. No one seems to know for sure, so we'll discuss that as well. And yeah, we'll see what else we have time for in the second half of today's show. So without further ado, we'll be right back.
Pilled.net is proud to host 412 Productions, exclusively on the true home of free speech. To continue watching the show, we are here to help you over to Pilled. If you're new to the platform, just click on the welcome link provided. It will then automatically walk you through signing up for your free account. If you already have a Pilled.net account, follow the link provided directing you straight to 412 Productions channel. We are excited to have you join the Pilled family, and if you have any questions at all, please email support@pilled.net. Enjoy the rest of 412 Productions on Pilled.net. Free speech lives here.
All right. Thank you to everyone who has decided to jump over to pilled.net from the other platforms. Those of you who won't be hopping over, I hope you have an awesome rest of your Wednesday, and I hope that you'll stop by tomorrow and join us for Taking It Back, where I welcome Frankie Val of the Quite Frankly Show, Zach Payne of Red Pill 78 onto the panel for an hour-long discussion. Will be syndicated by our good friends over at Badlands Media. We'll go from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. We've got Ben and Tina Garrison joining the show. That's going to be awesome. So make sure you guys tune in for the rest of the week. So get on over to pilled.net. We've got another hour or so left on this broadcast. Again, if not, no worries. We'll catch you guys hopefully tomorrow at 4 p.m. for Taking It Back. Have a great day. To all you guys on the other platforms.